Hey guys, this is Lala Legacy and welcome back to SeaBed. Let's just jump right back in. Did you know that the Japanese name for white clover comes from the fact that it was used as cushioning material for packaging or for packing glassware? Oh? Don't you think it would be way cooler if your parcels were filled with white clovers instead of bubble wrap? I guess so. Though you shouldn't write off bubble wrap like that. It's pretty great to play around with when you're bored. Yeah. You looked up its name? I imagined it might have some deeper meaning since it was a present from you. It doesn't. I see. By the way, the weather is great today, so what are you doing reading in a place like this? I'm here precisely because the weather is good. If it wasn't, I would be at the library instead. If you keep sitting in a murky place like this all the time, you're gonna rot alive. That's not how the real world works. I mean, like, mentally. I won't do that either. Speaking of which, your cousin Anne has psychic powers, right? When I told her you keep reading books in places like this, who gave you permission to spread rumors about me? She said that they all give her shivers, as in, she can't even get close to any of them. And this one spot behind the campus is like the worst of them all. I guess that's why I never feel lonely being here, even by myself. Hey now, that's not how a person should react to that. So, anyway, I actually went out of my way to find a much better place for you than this, and it's just as quiet. Oh, really? You can actually get some sunlight there, and a pleasant breeze to boot. Does such a convenient place really exist? I'll show you. Up to the roof, right? I stuck a bookmark in between the pages with a sigh. I closed my book and followed Takako. We began climbing the staircase of the school building number 4, going all the way up to the 4th floor and beyond, until we reached the door leading to the roof. A steel lock was keeping it shut, though. Keep an eye out for anyone coming. Takako drew closer to the small window and began fiddling with the lock using a hairpin she produced from her pocket. After she was done with that, she grabbed the frame of the window and started shaking it, filling the corridor with clattering noise. It let out a final, loud rattle before its lock sprung out of place with a click. Takako opened a small window, and planting her foot on the windowsill, jumped through. She turned around and extended a hand, signaling me to follow her. Frowning, I exhaled a sigh, but that didn't faze her in the slightest. I sheepishly gave her my hand, and, after taking a step on the windowsill, was pulled outside. A cool breeze swept across the roof. I could feel it caressing my hair, and as I closed my eyes, unable to stand the brightness. Oh my goodness. You weren't lying about the weather. Oh wait, that was Takako that said that. Whatever. I opened my eyes to see Takako looking around the roof. Right? So what do you think? Well, it's not bad. That much I can give you. But are you sure no one will come? Well, I did lock the door, so... I moved to the deeper end of the roof, closer to the area behind the campus, sat down on one of the benches there and opened my book. With our school being located on the mountainside, I could oversee most of our port town and even the sea in the distance. The blue sky extended from one edge of the sea to the next. Takako shifted her gaze from the athletics field to me. Remember the baseball field right in front of our clubroom? You ever heard the story about how the ground is soft between the home plate and the pitcher's mound? Can't say I have. Takako's facial expression told me she was about to start a really amusing story. I merely gave her a sideways glance and returned to my book without a moment's delay. We all tried digging up that ground yesterday. What do you think we found? I have no idea. We didn't really expect to find anything at first, but when we actually dug the hole, we came upon these cartons of boxed milk. Her eyes sparkled with excitement as she made a broad gesture, trying to convey the amount that they had found. Who buried all that crap there? No idea. I guess someone who didn't like milk? You could just flush it down the toilet or something. Why go through all the trouble of burying it? Takako placed a finger on her lower lip. Then maybe it was a trap or something? Would you fill your trap with milk? Well, it's funny for starters. Fall into that and you'll be soaked in white goop. But you said the ground had only become soft, right? That doesn't sound like someone could fall into it. I don't know. Makes me wonder what they really wanted to achieve. Got any ideas, Sachi? A ritual to express one's hatred of milk, perhaps. Beshrew thee, milk, harbinger of woe. Takako uttered the words with fake solemnity. The cool breeze shuffled across the roof again. I could hear the clamor of students from the athletics ground. Ah, our class is using the basketball hoop. Don't you want to play with us there sometime? No. Why? It's not like you can't play. I don't like getting sweaty or dirtying my clothes. Then what about the gym? I guess I could play hide and seek if you insisted. Yeah, right. It's just an excuse for you to return to that gloomy old place behind the campus. I'm on to you. Takako sat down next to me on the bench with a sigh. What are you reading? She posed that question to me, following a brief silence. I raised the hand that held my paperback so that the cover would be right in front of Takako's eyes. She considered it for a few moments. You always keep reading old stuff. I didn't react, so she continued. You don't read any recent bestsellers. I prefer older books. It was probably because my mother's family home had a bunch of them lying around. As a child, I'd spend hours reading in my grandmother's room every time I went to visit. But one day, all those books had vanished along with the whole shelf. They said they wanted to make the room feel more spacious. Now that they weren't easily accessible anymore, I felt an even stronger urge to read them. But since I didn't care much for anything other than the plot when I was little, I couldn't remember neither the titles nor the authors. All I knew was that they were in reddish-brown cases that also served as appendices. Yeah, that they lined 3 rows of the bookshelf, and that all of them were written by different authors. When I asked my grandparents, it turned out all those books belonged to my distant uncle, and not even they knew much about them. Whoopsie. I guess that's what happens when I do the wheel scroll on my mouse. Whoops. I tried asking my mother as well, but that didn't yield any results either. She wasn't exactly thrilled with the idea of me reading those kinds of books in the first place. Thanks to Takako's insistent questions, I ended up remembering that particularly frustrating episode in my life, and was completely taken out of the world of the book I was reading. I get that, but I was just wondering exactly what you like about them. What kind of books do you like in general? The kind that make you want to keep reading even if something had gotten into your eye. But Takako probably wouldn't be satisfied with such a vague answer. What about you? I like whatever is interesting, I guess. I thought you wanted to know what made those books interesting. I like the kind that make you want to keep reading, even if something had gotten into your eye, Takako said. I spontaneously responded with a frown. I could feel my entire face having "Are you for real?" written all over it. Oh, oops, I dropped her voice on accident. So what exactly do you like about old books, Sachi? Their atmosphere, I guess. I see. As I remained silent, Takako added that she felt the same way. The world they take place in is different enough from ours to feel fresh. Yeah, I suppose that's true. I'm also curious about how society worked before I was born. I think they had a lot more things back then. What do you mean? What kinds of things? Well, like politics and economics and movies and music, I guess. Isn't that because you just listen to pop music that always sounds the same? Well, I guess that could be it, but the way I see it, the past was a lot more chaotic than the present. They had tons of different thoughts and came up with a bunch of different ideas. I'd say the world is just as chaotic right now. If not more. Well, it's getting back to that chaotic point from the past. We probably just don't know it because we're still children. That could be true. Although I had to agree with the notion of being curious about the world of the past. I loved listening to the stories of my grandparents, and they in turn loved telling them, introducing me to a whole host of words and feelings I'd never known before. Like the title of a song I never heard about, or this accident I never knew happened. Even if I listened to that song now, I wouldn't be feeling the same things my grandparents did in their time. Listening to stories like that made me feel like something important in me was fastened shut with a heavy lid. Takako nodded in agreement. She said that must have been curiosity. I answered with a sigh. It's just like that hole I told you about. Could you not liken my hobbies to rotten milk? I shot an exasperated look at Takako's satisfied expression before returning to my book. Is that book fun? I feel like you've already asked that. Hey, all you told me was that you like old books. Now I'm asking you about this one specifically. Well, I guess it's not bad. Oh yeah, have you finished that book I lent you yet? I'm still reading it. I'm about halfway through, I think. Ah, so you must be at the part where... wait! Maybe I was more like a quarter in, actually. I see. Withdrawing her face from mine, she leaned against the bench. Something's flying over there. Takako narrowed her eyes, looking somewhere far in the sky. There was a large bird sailing through the blue canopy above us. It's a black kite! Someone's flying a kite? Oh wait, no, it's a... Wait, what? I don't know who's talking anymore. That's a bird, you know. You think it's gonna go over that mountain? I don't think so. Isn't it just looking for prey? I had this weird dream the other day. Like, I went beyond the mountains surrounding our town, and all I found was just endless grass and shallow puddles of water. A huge marsh, basically. Have you ever been outside this town? No. Maybe that's why. Those mountains sometimes look like prison walls holding us inside. Well, you should just go wherever you want once you grow up. I turned the page. Let's go overseas then. Good luck with that. You're coming too. Sounds like a pain in the neck. Takako let out a chuckle. I know you actually want to go. And why would you think that? Well, I've known you for a long time. Don't underestimate your childhood friends. Takako's raised voice prompted me to instinctively cover my ears, nearly causing me to drop the book I'd been reading. Why did you rephrase that? Did you actually think that line sounded cool? Takako's cheeks flushed a light hue of red. That's why you repeated yourself. Not really. The sun rays, dancing across the blue sky above, warmed my exposed knees. We only have 5 classes today, right? seeing how it's Wednesday. So let's go see a movie after school, or we can do karaoke if you want. I've been having a sore throat lately, so I can't do karaoke. Any good movies on right now? Well, there's, that. The one we talked about last week. I've never heard of a movie called that. It's that... it's on the tip of my tongue. So, what is it? You keep urging me, so I forgot now. Hey, don't make it my fault. You never even knew it in the first place, did you? Well, you have time to remember until school is over. Do you remember the final song we did the last time we went to karaoke? I do. I was on my bike heading home when I got to a traffic light. I checked if no one was around and started singing it by myself, only to realize there was a biker parked right behind me. Oh boy, was that embarrassing. Is that so? But I'm not going to karaoke today. I have a sore throat. I wasn't trying to say I wanted to go. So you just wanted to tell the story? Yeah. I see. Good for you. I guess we're going on to the next chapter. Ooh, the tips menu has been unlocked. You can access it from the title screen. So, tips is Narasaki Clinic. Room 008 has been unlocked. We will now begin boarding for Flight 56 to Paris. The caster wheels attached to my bag rolled over the immaculately cut stone floor in an energetic clatter. There weren't that many people in the off-season airport, so I could walk relatively freely. I walked to the escalator going up, placed my bag on it, then boarded it myself. I glanced down to see Takako staggering as she tried carrying a large Boston bag in her arms. I checked to see if my bag was steady on the escalator, and pulled down my right sleeve to confirm the time. We're late. Well, it's because you drive so slow. Actually, it's because you overslept. I shifted my gaze from the clock to I don't know why I'm having such a hard time saying her name, to Takako, who looked away to avoid my eyes. This escalator's pretty long. I've never seen one like this before. I could hear the escalator buzzing below us. I heaved a brief sigh. And if you felt I was driving slow, there's seriously something wrong with you. Has no one ever taught you about preventive driving? Preventive driving? It's based in foreseeing the possible dangers on the road. You might be going too fast without realizing it. A car might appear in the opposing lane. You might have to abruptly brake. A pedestrian might jump on the road. You might have run over something. Too late to worry about that now. Takako let out a hearty chortle. Are we really cutting it that close? It's about an hour and a half until the flight. You think we'll make it in time for the check-in? Let's hurry. You want me to run again? Takako didn't seem too thrilled about the idea. I glared back at Takako. She leaned against her Boston bag, placed a step above the one she was standing on, and closed her eyes. Don't sleep! Her head was at the perfect height for me to flick it. Ouch! Takako placed her left hand on her forehead. Did that wake you up? Yeah? I lifted my bag and stepped off the escalator as it reached the top. Takako picked her Boston bag back up and followed me. I walked through the carpeted corridor at a hurried pace. Through the rows of windows to the right, I could clearly see the cloudless blue sky. I looked to my side as the caster wheels of my bag rolled at a brisker pace than before. Takako held the Boston bag in her arms. I had no idea where she got it. It seemed like an antique, covered in freight seals with a bunch of different languages. You didn't bring much as usual. You think so? I think I packed everything I would need. Passport, tickets, camera, notepad, medicine, and a nail clipper. You're buying clothes at our destination again? Yup. And I can wear this for as long as there's a washing machine around. Takako pulled on her shirt to show it off. Let's buy everything we need once we get there. Good idea. Alright, well that is all the time that I have for this episode, guys. So if you liked it, please give it a big thumbs up down below. And if you haven't already, subscribe. And by subscribing, you become part of a legacy. So I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!